How many times has it happened that you've been overwhelmed with an immense and sudden hunger but don't want to cook? Fortunately, there is a restaurant business that offers us a very good solution. Let's find out its history. But first, subscribe, ring the bell, give a like, and order a hamburger. The name Ray Kroc will probably not be familiar to you, but if I told you that he invaded the world with his burgers, fries, and milkshakes, you would immediately understand that he was the founder of McDonald's. Renamed the King of Burgers, Kroc revolutionized the restaurant business in the same way a generation earlier, Henry Ford transformed the automotive industry, or a generation later, Mark Zuckerberg, the social communication. Millions, no, billions of people around the world have bitten one of his sandwiches. How did he do it? He built the first truly large franchise chain in history, using real estate as a financial engine. In fact, as we'll see shortly, he also holds the title of the King of Real Estate, 30 years of being a seller. Born in Illinois, from a modest immigrant family, as a boy he began working as a street vendor for anything that could be sold, also passing through the experience of a real estate agent. He reaches the balance when he marries the owner of the Prince Multi-Mixer, a small company of professional mixers whose interests he begins to look after himself. The activity allows him to visit cafes, ice cream parlors, restaurants, and sandwich shops in half of North America, becoming a real expert in catering. He certainly couldn't know, but Ray in those 30 years was getting prepared for something much bigger than him. The idea of his life took place in 1954. Ray is 52 years old and close to enjoying his well-deserved retirement when he receives an order of 8 mixers. You might understand that it surprised him a lot, considering that to sell one was very difficult. Intrigued, he decided to go and see for himself what all those mixers were for. And here on his way, he saw what would change the rest of his life. It was the first McDonald's in history. The owners, the McDonald brothers, needed those blenders to make the mincemeat of the burgers. The idea was simple: to offer a complete, fast, cheap, and also tasty meal. You know when you have that flash of genius and see the business without understanding the size? The same thing happened to Ray. In an interview he says, "That night in my motel room, I couldn't get what I saw out of my head. Visions of McDonald's restaurants on every street corner passed through my head." Heeding the advice of Sonborn, Ray prepares his purchase strategy. He would buy the brand to finally free himself of the brothers, and to do so, he relies on one of their greatest fears: taxes. Apparently, the two were paranoid about taxes, and that's why they later sold it. The amount requested by the brothers is $2,700,000 in cash, an amount that Ray finds unwarranted. He tries to offer less money, but the two don't accept a penny less. The deal has 2 complexes. The first is the restaurant in San Bernardino, the first of the chain. Ray wants it at all costs and is convinced that it's inserted into the negotiation, but it's not. And then there's a huge trick. That of the 0.5% tax on gross turnover that Ray would have promised as a natural continuation of their collaboration relationship was not included in the contract for tax reasons. Before the sale, the brothers made a deal that allowed Ray Kroc to open franchises under the close supervision of the brothers. But Ray's vision was so vast that he was blocked by the McDonald brothers, always to increase profits, as well as open many other franchises. Ray Kroc added and replaced recipes, such as the milkshake. From a milk milkshake to a powdered milkshake. The brothers obviously didn't agree. This meant moving away from the McDonald's brothers' initial values when they opened the business together. Above all, quality. Ray Kroc succeeded to acquire the McDonald's brand. He liquidated the 2 brothers, who had the idea, but not the vision. With a lot of money, the brothers happily left everything in Ray's hands. Clearly, as happened to the 2 brothers who founded Facebook, but sold it to Zuckerberg, they're still eating their hands. Ray Kroc, the king of properties and burgers, was on the train of success, even in first class. His chance had come at 52, but it arrived. In these cases, one can really say, it is never too late, and in any case, better late than never. It was April 15, 1955, when the first McDonald's opened in Des Plaines, Illinois. 40 years earlier, the secret of Henry Ford's success had been the assembly line and the consequent maniacal organization of work. In this way, he was able to reduce costs, increase the production, and address an ever-increasing audience. Here, good old Ray Kroc did the same with his sandwiches. He divided the preparation into several stages and standardized the production process, so that there were no two burgers with different numbers of onion rings. Of course, at this stage, and even after the experience gained knocking on the doors of restaurants in half of America, it was fundamental. Today, hundreds of hamburgers are produced per second for a total of about 200 billion sandwiches sold from 1993 to today. For Ray, business growth was a real motive. In fact, he did not believe in market saturation, and so he exploited the enormous potential of marketing. Kroc loved to say, "We're not in the burger business, we're in the entertainment world." Another key to McDonald's continued growth was, and is, international expansion. Since the 90s, revenues from the rest of the world have exceeded those from the States. Today, there are 34,000 McDonald's scattered in 120 countries. In fact, there's still another factor that contributed to the McDonald's worldwide success: the use of real estate as leverage. In this way, thanks to the intuition of one of his collaborators, Ray found a way to finance the growth of the restaurant chain by using the chain's properties as leverage. He bought land and built his restaurants there, then rented the same premises to the operating company. Ray Kroc's characteristics are certainly determination, ability to look beyond the tip of the shoes, a strong sense of organization, and discipline. It was the sum of all his strengths that transformed a mixer salesman into one of the most enlightened businessmen in history. However, unlike the other captains of industry, Ray Kroc always remained a simple man, far from the worldly life and proud of his family's peasant origins. Like any other good entrepreneur, he also had a strong work ethic, nurtured an obsessive attention to detail, and was always looking for a way to rationalize everything. He personally controlled the turnover of each new store, and when he was traveling, his driver was obliged to stop at least 6 McDonald's to do surprise inspections. Ray Kroc died of old age in 1984. The following year, McDonald's real estate assets passed the $4.16 billion mark and joined the 30 largest companies in the world. Anyone who thinks about McDonald's can't do without remembering, together with the typical smell of burgers and fries, also the historic logo, symbol of the company, a stylized M, or rather 2 yellow arches, originally on a red background. Yes, because when in 1952 the McDonald's brothers decided to open a second office in California, they found some resistance in the first 3 architects consulted to design a McDonald's branded restaurant, exactly as they imagined it, a structure with several side arches, clearly visible from the street, to make it recognizable and to make people passing by stop. McDonald's had a bad reputation in Europe following some scandals and journalistic inquiries on the quality of the food served in the restaurant, which took a much greater hold in the United States, where the McMenu is sort of a national dish. Always facing criticism in new markets, the company has further renewed its menus, introducing at the end of 2015 also the McVeggie, a sandwich dedicated to vegetarian customers to allow everyone to enjoy a McDonald's sandwich. After introducing salad, fruit, and yogurt in the menus for the little ones, the company tries in every way to wash away the constant controversy about the quality of its products, and also does so by introducing local ingredients in its sandwiches. In Italy, for example, the Cianina burger, made from selected Italian meat, while in India nowadays, McDonald's is about to introduce a masala dosa burger, a reinterpretation of one of the most typical local dishes. The story teaches us that it's possible to build and manage unimaginable fortune in a few decades, and even starting practically from zero. Thanks to Entrepreneur Tips, we were lucky enough to know the business that made rich Ray Kroc, and still today makes many entrepreneurs in the retail sector rich. Can we do it too? Absolutely yes. We live in a unique period with all the information at our fingertips. What will make the difference then between those who succeed and those who remain standstill? Surely, a first step is to subscribe to Entrepreneur Tips, share the video, and like it. But in addition to this, you can stay there studying books on books, analyze graphs, take courses, do and redo business plans. But if you don't go out and start cooking hamburgers every day, getting your hands dirty, you'll never be anyone. That said, See you very soon, just long enough to heat up the plates. Thank you for watching Entrepreneur Tips.